What's up, you beautiful people? Welcome back to the podcast. So here is a piece of advice I would give you if I wasn't afraid of hurting your feelings. And I need you to prepare yourself for this because your ego is not going to want to hear this. It's going to push back initially, and it's going to try and reject this. But the advice is simple. You are not half as good as you think you are. You are not half as good as you think you are. Now, there's a lot of reasons for this. Number one is everybody goes through this world with an overinflated sense of self. Like nobody thinks that they're average and that makes sense. If you think about this, like your entire perception of the universe is occurring within the 6 inches between your ears, right? Like you are the center point of your universe. Everybody else is revolving around you and they are the NPCs. You are the main character. And so there's this tendency to think that I am above average. I am extraordinary. I'm great in all domains of life. And when we succeed at things, we have this tendency to say that was skill. When we fail at things, we have this tendency to say that was bad luck, right? And these are mechanisms that our ego, that our biological self deploys in order to protect ourselves, to make us feel better about the reality of our situation. And in a lot of cases, when you think you're better than you are, it stops you from taking the necessary actions which would allow you to actually go out into the world and get better. And I'm talking from my own personal experience here. Like I'm not talking down to you. I'm talking down to my younger self. And hell, in many ways, this is a constant relearning because at each level of the game, as you graduate and you move up to that next level, you have to wrestle with the fact that, again, you are not as good as you think. And unless you are at the very tip top of the spear, the tip top of the pyramid, the gap between you and what true greatness looks like is actually quite large, right? And so I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you right now. And hopefully in sharing this with you, I'm going to give you some advice, I'll give you some ideas for how we can get around this, how we can keep our minds open, how we can approach the pursuit of better without ever thinking that we've arrived. Because as soon as you think that you've arrived, you stop climbing, you stop striving, you become complacent. And then the gap between where you are and where you really want to go, the person that you want to become, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So here's what I would say is the 4 things that will help you if you don't want to just go through life thinking you're great, but actually to be great and to achieve great things. And for me, when I was younger, especially throughout my 20s, I had a very overinflated sense of ego and sense of self, and definitely a sense of like my capacity. And I think this is like par for the course for pretty much every 20-year-old out there. I think you have to go through this phase of life where you think that you are the shit, and a lot of people will get hammered down, and they will either do one of 2 things. They will either look hard in the mirror and they'll say like, oh, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was, and I just need to go and improve and get better. And that's going to be a very small subsection of people. But if you're listening to this podcast, there's a good chance that's the type of person you are. Most people will just chalk it up to the universe, chalk it up to external circumstances, chalk it up to that bad boss or their coworker who's an ass kiss. And that's the reason why they got promoted when you were clearly the better fit for that role, right? So if you don't want to be in that role, if you don't want to be that type of person that just is pointing and externalizing all the blame, and instead you want to take the locus of control into yourself and say, I'm going to do something about this. I am not as good as I think I am, but I have the potential to improve. Here's what I would say. Number 1 is get around people that are better than you. Like objectively, that are so much better than you that it doesn't even leave any room for discussion, right? Like if you want to get fit and right now you're 20 pounds overweight, go to the gym and hang out with people who are in like fantastic shape. They have 6-pack abs, they have big rock hard muscles, they can run 20 miles, right? Go get around those people where the gap between what greatness is and where you are is so stark that you can't blame anything else other than the fact that like you're just not as good as you want to be. If you want to make more money, go get around people who are making significantly more money. If you want to build a big great business, go surround yourself with people who have built big great businesses. Now, in a lot of domains of life, it's fairly easy to get around people. Like in the fitness example, if you want to go get around fit people, just go get a gym membership. Now, don't get a shitty gym membership. Go get a really good gym membership where the really good fit people hang out, right? Like go surround yourself. They might have to pay a little bit of extra money to get that. But when it comes to the money, the finances, the business side, that can be a trickier one because it's like, why would somebody who's built a $1 billion business want to hang out with little old you who's making $50,000 a year, right? Like there's no incentive other than they think that you're a nice person, but like you're going to have a really hard time getting into their private compound to spend time with them. So how you get proximity to these people? Well, You don't. Generally, unless you can pay to get access to them, you can't get access to the people that are at the very top of the mountain. So what you have to settle for is people who are just 2-3 rungs higher on the ladder than you. And there's tremendous amount of value even in that, just getting around people that are a little bit higher up the mountain than you. But you want to get around the best people that you possibly can, because if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're going to regress to the mean, right? Regression to the mean is a universal truth at this point. So if you're the smartest person in the room, you're going to get pulled down to everybody else's level. If you're the poorest person in the room, you're going to get pulled up to everybody's level. So you always want to be thinking in terms of, how do I get around people that are doing the thing that I aspire to at a higher, better level than me? That's number one. Number two, ask good questions. It is surprising to me how bad of question askers most people are. Like, if the quality of your answers is dictated by the quality of questions you ask, then the super skill is ask better questions. You will get better answers. Those answers will then drive better actions and will deliver better results. It starts with, what are the questions to be asking though? And it's surprising to me, like, I can tell with a reasonable degree of certainty how successful a person's going to be based off of how easily findable the answer to their questions are. If they ask a question that I could easily Google the answer to within 30 seconds, they're not thinking on a deep enough, high enough level. They're asking surface level questions. In a lot of cases, they're doing it because they're too lazy to just go put it into Google themselves, and they're offloading the work on the other person. So if you get in this room with people who are operating at a higher level than you, and you ask them dumb questions, you're going to go nowhere, because they're going to stop talking to you. So learn how to ask better questions. Number three, listen more than you speak. I can't remember, I'm going to butcher the quote, but one of my favorite quotes is something like, when we speak, we only repeat that which we already know. When you speak, you only repeat that which you already know. You can't learn when you're speaking. It's only in the listening that you can acquire new information, new perspectives, and maybe you can learn and improve as a result. So when you get into these rooms with better people, ask better questions and then shut up and listen. Number four, the whole starting point of this conversation is, you are not as good as you think you are, which means that the solution, if you want to get better, besides just surrounding yourself with people that are operating, they give you the eye-opening experience of seeing what truly great people actually are doing and how much of a gap between you and them there actually is. Once you recognize that gap, now we have to close that gap. And that comes as a result of practicing your craft a lot, way more than you even think is reasonable, more than you think is like, it's just baffling the amount of work that truly extraordinary people have put into their craft versus what the average person thinks is normal. It is just orders of magnitude greater. And so one of the biggest reframes that really helped me a lot when I started writing science fiction and fantasy novels was reframing in my mind what I considered to be a large output of writing. So instead of thinking 500 words is a lot of words, I reframed it to 5,000 words in a writing session. That is a lot of words. And so when you think 5,000 words versus 500 words, well, now if every day I'm aspiring to get to that 5,000, but I only hit 3,000, I'm still 6 or 7 times further along than if I had set the expectation at 500 words. And who's going to get better over the course of a year? The person who writes 500 words every single day, or the person who's writing 3,000 words every single day? It's orders of magnitude difference. And just across the board, average people, the people that overinflate their own competence, the thing that I've recognized in myself, at least, is that it stems from them believing they've put in more work on the thing that they have actually done, right? Like the people that are where you want to be, they've just put in so many more reps than you do. And that's the easiest way to go from being average, go from being middle of the pack to actually being in that top 5 to 10 percentile. So that is the advice I would give you if I wasn't afraid of hurting your advice or hurting your feelings. And guys, like, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I do want you to live up to your potential. I do want you to step into your greatness, and you can't do that as long as I'm sitting here coddling you. So you're not as good as you think you are. Go put in the work, go get around better people, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.